I was hoping you were going to ask me to go last on this one. The deficit, Richard just told us, is 52 billion, the deficit. And he says pay down the deficit. You can't pay down a deficit. It's a deficit. It's what you're short. It's your overdraft at the end of the month. You can't pay it down. You can not have a deficit. Or you've got a deficit, one or the other. But 52 billion as a deficit this year, if that's what Richard's claiming. 52 billion is the interest we're going to pay on the national debt this year, give or take $1 billion. Round terms, that's 260 public sector workers on £50,000 a year every day this year. We could employ another 260 every day and pay them 50,000 for what we're paying in interest on the national debt. Richard's figures of 2 trillion, including the PFI and those bits on the accounting sheets that aren't in the list, he got from me on Tuesday at the Thatcham.
Saving my brain.
Weeks and months.
Freedom of information.
It is freedom of information. And austerity is it's a smokescreen. It's meant to keep us all scared and not ask questions. We're all too busy working hard to pay the taxes, to pay for these services that we're not getting. And the man at the back there shouted, print more money. People shout, oh, you can't do that, it's inflationary. We printed £275 billion 7 years ago, and it had no effect whatsoever on our economy. Not one jot. The other parties are all going to spend the rest of this evening squabbling over 500 million here and 2 billion there. The answer is not to sort of keep looking at where we're going wrong in terms of taxation. The answer is to look at where the money comes from in the first place. And this is why I'm in this election, to try and bring to people's attention the fact that we're all being hoodwinked. There is a double cross going on. The banks create money out of thin air. I'll say that again. The banks create money out of thin air. You need to go home and educate yourselves on this fact. When we talk about how much money there is, £2 trillion of debt. Where have we borrowed £2 trillion worth of debt? Nobody has got 2 trillion. We can't say we've borrowed it from the Americans. Their debt is 8 trillion. We can't say we've borrowed it from China. Their debt is 7 trillion. India's in the trillions. Pakistan in the trillions. Italy's debt is just nobody's bothering to count Italy's debt. So where are we borrowing £2 trillion? The richest man in this country is worth 7 billion. 7 billion. Now, I'm sure he's not got a lot of that in cash sitting in the bank, but he's certainly not lending it to us. And the pension funds, there isn't a pension fund alive that has got anything like £2 trillion to lend to us. When we talk about pension funds failing, Fred Goodwin's looking at sort of paying in tens of millions into the BHS pension fund to keep it alive. The amounts of money involved are fictitious. They are made up by the banks. Governments go to the banks. They don't give them money. They give them more credit. And we pay interest on it. And we have to pay back that debt. What we need to do is start waking up and smelling the Chateau Lafite 1959. The banks are robbing us blind, and they'll carry on robbing us blind. Alex.